Excuse me? Did you just ask what was BGK Network for? I'm glad that you asked. Let me get the number up because I know you're going to call. So BGK was founded by Michael. What happened to the number? The number's at the top of the screen now. But anyway, get the number. As I was saying, BGK Network was founded by... It's at the bottom of the screen. Really? Really? Okay. I'm sorry for calling you Michael. Apostle, just put me back where I can talk. Just put me back, please. Wow, some people are so sensitive, right? But seriously, what you just saw was a sample of what Apostle Michael Dulaney and Evangelist Tiffany can do through virtual ministry with BGK Network. They founded BGK to help people like you and myself to put the gospel out around the world. It's a great opportunity. I do encourage you to call the number. It's more affordable than you think. Give them a call. I did.
Hi there, and welcome to another edition of Let's Talk About Marriage and the Family. I am so excited to have this couple on my presentation today, and the young lady, the bride, I'll call her the bride. I always tease her because I was her senior pastor at a church in Chicago called God Never Fails Healing and Deliverance Ministries. And she was a great member and everything. And when she announced that she was going to be marrying, I said, well, I'm so glad that I am no longer the pastor of the church, because she had gone to another church where she was working very actively. And that's where she met her current husband. And his name, of course, now he's an author. He has produced a document as a result of his PhD studies, and has been able to travel the world. They have been able to travel the world together. And so I'm very excited to be able to present to you Bishop Roger and Lady Virgie Phillips. And they live in Daytona Beach, and I was the guest at a church that they were were part of a membership. And I was able to live in the luxury of their lifestyle for a few days. And I was just excited to know that my friend Virgie was found working, and was found working in the vineyard, in the field, and has now a wonderful husband and a great life. So welcome, Bishop and Lady. How are you all doing today?
We're great.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Well,
glad to be with you.
Well, I'm so glad to have you. And you could hear in the background, my little pet was saying good morning also. She feels as though she's a part of Let's Talk About Marriage and the Family. So I kind of want to get into the fact that both of you all are a mature couple, and how did you meet? Did you meet at the Dominic's in the flower section? Because Virgie loves beautiful flowers.
Yes, she does.
So where did you two meet? Tell us, where did you meet?
Actually, we met at church, and Roger was in my new members class.
Right.
And so he saw you teaching new members. Bishop, was that love at first sight?
Yes and no. So it was probably not so much as love at first sight, but quite an interesting, quite an interesting view. Okay, now being a preacher, at the time I was not I hadn't entered the ministry yet, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
I guess I was still rooted in the world, as it were, and I saw a great deal of interest in Lady Virgie, because what I saw in her was information that she could give me to
Okay.
help me achieve the goal of getting into the ministry, because I found her to be extremely, extremely knowledgeable about those things that I wanted to learn about.
Okay.
And so that's what struck my interest at initially, and we sort of cut to the chase. We were going to meet at the inauguration of President Obama. We both were going to be in Washington. We knew that we both were going to be in Washington, so we said, well, we'll hook up there and we'll have lunch or something. And we were unable to do so because of all of the flurry of activities that was going on.
Mm-hmm.
She had access through her daughter, who was on assignment to the inauguration, and I had access because my brother works for the U.S. Senate, and so we had different set of credentials, and we were in two different places. So we never had an opportunity to really get together there in D.C. But we made it a point to, after we got back, to kind of get together, and we had dinner, and from that dinner that we had, it evolved into a more closer relationship. We began to talk more at church with one another. She began to reach out and do some things to try to help me get to where I needed to get and where I wanted to go in terms of ministry. And so she became quite instrumental in that, which is what I saw in her. And I think the Spirit led me to her.
But one of the things I think he's kind of forgetting to add was that his mother had been a long member of the church.
Yes, that's true.
He was kind of, following his mother to church. So that's why he sort of ended up there, because his mom was a mother.
She was a mother. She was on the mother's board. She had been there a number of years.
Yes.
And when I told her, I said, Mom, I want to go into ministry. I think I want to go into ministry. And she said, okay. She said, why don't you come go to my church?
Wonderful.
Just like that. And I said, oh, okay. And I had met Bishop Trotter years ago. He wasn't a bishop either when I met him. I met him through an alderman in the 34th Ward, where I had a business. Mm-hmm. And I met him through the alderman, and he was just a pastor there.
Okay.
At his location on 103rd.
Yes.
And so it was kind of like the Spirit was moving and doing what I had asked in prayers or requested in prayers, that God opened some doors for me. Yes. And God said, okay, that's okay. It's time. That's what I'm going to do. And he systematically, when we look back on it, God systematically did this, put this together.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, he systematically put it together, one step at a time.
I knew your late mother from Sweet Holy Spirit, and she was one of the devoted mothers on the Mother's Board, and in her time and all was active. I don't ever remember a time when I was there that I didn't see her being there, not being present, and so it was her invitation that brought you to that place. And of course, Virgie is, and she's my friend, so I call her Virgie, but I don't, no disrespect in the fact that she's Lady Virgie, is an attractive woman and has such a good, beautiful personality. you could not help but be attracted to her. And I think with your vibrant personality, it was just a good blend. It was like making a good cream cheese pound cake. The butter and the cream cheese
Yes,
just
indeed.
got together in the mixer, and that's the way it happens.
Yes.
I do make a good cream cheese pound cake.
I'm
So
gonna take you up on that, Dr. Joe.
all right, okay, listen, anytime. So the Obamas, you were going to make this original meeting was going to be at the inauguration, and I'm certain that there were just so many people there at that time that that could not happen. I just want to ask a question. How long, Lady Virgie, had you been single? Because I know that your husband passed away and your children were quite young.
I had been a widow for 24 years.
24 years, okay.
Yeah, 24 years.
And that's quite a long period of time, because now someone's coming into your life, and it has been your ability to be able to go and do things on your own, to purchase your own property, to just do many things. What type of adjustment did you have to make after being single for 24 years to going into a marital relationship?
You know, it was different, being alone, making all the decisions, myself. But it was interesting, sort of it was welcoming, to have somebody to bounce things off of, and to talk about what, where we should go or what we should do. So it was an adjustment, but it was, like I said, a welcome
adjustment. Okay. And now your children were how old when their father passed away?
My daughter was 6 and my son was 15.
Okay. And so you had to pick up the reins and be mom and dad. Right. I know that you worked very hard. In our conversation, you had to make a decision to go back to school because you wanted to upgrade yourself in your position, so in order to do that, you had to make that sacrifice and go back to school. So tell us about your son and daughter now.
My daughter lives in Maryland. She is a producer for a news network in the DC area. And my son is a project manager for Disney, and he's responsible, at this point, he's responsible for the new ship that Disney will bring online in 2024. And the ship is being built in Germany. So he and his family have moved to Germany.
Okay, all right. And you and your spouse will be going, I'm sure, to visit.
We plan to, yeah.
All right, we plan to. Now, Bishop, how long had you been single?
I had been single at that time about 3 years.
Okay, all right.
From it's literally going on 4 years.
Okay.
From my previous marriage.
Okay.
And I had began to take a lot of time to myself, devoted to myself, which I had never done before, because I felt this pulling on me to do two things. One, go back to school, and two, to enter into the ministry. Now, a friend of mine who is now a bishop also, he was already in school. Okay. In a seminary, and he and I talked. We worked together for many years, and we were talking. And I told him, I said, I have a call on my life, and I feel that the Spirit is telling me to go into the ministry, and but I need to go to school. I need to go back to school because I had a pastor tell me once. he said, if you decide to ultimately go into the ministry, one of the things that I would highly recommend you do is to go to school.
Okay. All
He
right.
said, don't stand in front of God's people and don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
He said,
Exactly.
he said, that's the best advice I can give you, go back to school and learn. And so I said, okay, then that's it. And so
Yeah.
my friend, he told me, he said, well, I'm in the school. He said, why don't you come and register there? He said, I'll hook you up with the missions people and get you registered in there. And so I did. And but it wasn't satisfying enough for me. I wasn't happy at all with some of the stuff that I was getting from them, and I later found out why, because they had a more evangelical approach.
Okay. All right.
Okay, to
Okay.
the scriptures and the teaching of the Bible, and I knew right away that what I wanted to learn was I wanted to learn the Bible. I wanted to know the Bible front to back.
Yes.
And one of the only ways I could do that, I found a program in biblical studies.
Okay.
And at that point, we talked. Virgie and I talked, and she said, and I told her, should I get into this program? And she said, absolutely.
Yes. Yes.
Absolutely.
So,
Because you don't know enough.
no. And I tell people that I have to deal with, of course, I was academic dean at a Bible college when I lived in Charlotte, professor, and then matriculated to become the academic dean. You never stop learning. There's always something that some more that you can learn. And I think that it is important in this day and age where we have so many young people with questions that are pertinent to their generation, that we do go back and follow the command of the Bible to study ourselves approved to be workmen and to rightly divide the word. With so many things that are coming along in our society today, if we don't have that biblical knowledge, that theological knowledge, we can fail and lead so many people astray in so many ways.
Yes.
So we have one person's been single a few years and another person for a longer period of time. So what were your dating practices? Did you all enjoy walking, movies, dinners? How did your conversation evolve to marriage?
I would say we enjoy dinner.
Yeah.
And that's interesting, because I'm a movie person. I love movies, but we never went to the movie.
Yeah.
We enjoy dinner and just conversation.
Yeah.
We would have dinners on Sunday evening we would have dinner at 6 o'clock, and we would talk until 10 o'clock.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, just eat and have dinner, and man.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that we did. We hardly went to lunch.
Yeah.
Maybe at after church.
Yeah, but mainly dinners.
But mainly dinners, and just conversation and talking and really getting to know one another through one-on-one conversation, which we found was the greatest thing. It's better than anything.
Exactly. Well, I'm going to share with my viewing audience, I'm going to share that Virgie got me extremely drunk once, and it was during the Christmas holiday season. And I want to tell you, she got me drunk, and it wasn't off of alcohol. She had a chocolate. She had what she called a chocolate afternoon buffet. And her dining room table was filled with chocolate raisins, chocolate nuts, chocolate cake. She had some of everything chocolate. And of course, I tried to eat everything that was chocolate. And by the time I left her home to get to my car, I said to Daphne Walker, who was riding with me, I said, I am so dizzy. I am so drunk because I ate everything chocolate that was on that table. So your wife got me drunk off of chocolate. And she's a marvelous hostess. And so your time in talking together provided you with some foundations for your marriage, some places, and people don't converse. People
Right.
do not talk to each other. I do marriage counseling, pre-marriage counseling, and right now I have a young couple. She just got her, just passed her doctoral thesis examination, defending her doctorate. But they emailed me this morning and said, we would like to have your document before you ask, before you answer. And of course, I will be sending that to them. It's a document that I developed from my time on being on radio on Let's Talk About Marriage and the Family. And I find that so many people don't have conversation. They don't talk about their feelings, their emotions, their ups, their downs. Everything looks perfect for those hour and a half that we're at dinner. So you spent over a period of time, extensive conversation, getting to know each other, getting to decide that there's a future here. So did you see a ring coming, Virgie? Did you kind of see that this was leading to marriage? Or were you shocked?
No, I wasn't shocked. I think we actually talked about the future, and I think one of the things that's so good about meeting someone at our age, there's so many things that you don't have to deal with. So you just know what you have to focus on. You know that if we can sit and talk and discuss everything from our own personal life to the world, things that are going on in the world together, or if we can have an idea that we can talk about how we see life, period, with or without each other, things we like to do. We know ministry was really important to both of us. We know that our families, our children were important, but our children were older. They were grown now. So we didn't have the same, I guess, sort of issues that you have if you had kids with you. So we thought, yeah, we got a lot going for us now,
Yes,
so
yeah.
Why not, do it together? So.
Well, this is great. So now one question I want to ask, did you all do any pre-marriage counseling? Both of you now are members of the Sweet Holy Spirit Church in Chicago. Did you go and talk to the senior leader or to any of the elders there in the church about a forthcoming marriage?
Yes, we had some extensive.
We had extensive counseling.
Counseling. We did.
Actually, in two senses. Now, when we first told our bishop that we wanted to, we were looking at getting married, he counseled us, but then he recommended that we be counseled by one of the best persons that he knew to do counseling, and that was the late Pastor Robinson.
Okay. All right. And so then you all,
yeah. So he recommended that we do that. Now Pastor Robinson was already counseling me I shouldn't say counseling me. He was mentoring me.
Okay.
That's the exact word. He was mentoring me, and so he was working at the church at that time, and so Bishop Trotter recommended that he would be the best counsel.
And we had counsel. Yeah, we had he and his wife.
Yeah,
they were
together, right? And so
Okay.
they counseled us together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And so,
how
yeah.
important do you feel, because both of you all are seasoned and both of you all are working in ministry, how important did you feel marriage counseling was for you? Especially, you all have had extensive conversations, you've had life experiences. What did you feel was so important about pre-marriage counseling?
Well, there were a lot of things that were brought up during the marriage counseling that, you know, maybe we hadn't considered. How do we, you know, how do I feel about Roger being the head over me, where I know I've taken care of myself for the last 24 years? Like, really, do I need someone over me? Do I need a head? You know, so those things we really discussed. And also, you know, our past lives, how would they impact on our what we're doing now? So, oh yeah, marriage counseling was very important.
Yeah.
Yes. So super.
And then ironically, it was the first time that I had marriage counseling.
Okay. All right.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and so, you know, it was a interesting experience, because the individuals who were counseling us were younger than us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And they were kind of having a tough time early on, you know, man, how do we tell these folks, you know, they're successful, you know, they've done things that we haven't even done. They've done
Yes.
things that we dreamed about doing, you know, from a different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So they, you know, they were trying to, you know, they were feeling their way as well.
But they brought so much.
But they brought so much, from a different perspective for us.
Okay.
And to this day, we deeply appreciated the counseling that and the time that they took, because we had counseling sessions for 2 and 3 hours at a time when we had it. You know,
we had long sessions. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we're getting to a point where I'm going to do one thing. I want to invite you to come back and we continue in this conversation. And I would like to start back, because generally when we have a couple getting married and they have children, we start talking about blending families. Now, what were the comments that you got from your children as you said, I am about ready to propose, or I think he's going to propose? What were the comments that you got from your children? And that's a suspense hanger, because a lot of times we have couples that are going to get married and older children have more issues with their parents getting married than younger children have. So will you come back and join me, and we'll talk a little bit more about that?
Absolutely.
Okay. This is Let's Talk About Marriage and the Family, and I'm holding up a little card for you. And this little card, I would like for you to call me. You have the number as 972-816-3778, or you can write to me. And I'd like for you to take these cards and post them, put them on bulletin boards where people can see about Let's Talk About Marriage and the Family. So that number is 972-816-7887, or you can email me at rjjoseph920@gmail.com. And I will send you a lot of these cards, because I need your help in getting the word out that Let's Talk About Marriage and the Family can be seen on Roku, on the BGK network. So I hate to rush us and say goodbye at this segment, but remember, Bishop and Lady are going to come back, and they're going to talk about the challenges of adult children, what they said when mom and dad said, I am going to get married again. So one of those deep discussions will be coming back. Stay tuned for the next segment of Let's Talk About Marriage and the Family. I'm Dr. Ramona Joseph, also known as Dr. Mom, and I want to thank you for joining me and for sharing this presentation with others.